good morning and happy Wednesday. So today we're going to work on a reclaimed piece that I had done before. I have been scanning in some of my old artwork that's been piling up, and one of the things I found was a number of pieces that have been penciled but haven't been inked or colored or anything like that. So I'm going to work on one of those pieces today. It's actually one that I put out there on Facebook a couple of days ago and asked people if they wanted to see me ink it. And a number of people have done that. Hey! Okay, Dad, you got in here. Or Calvin, one of the two. Whichever one of you guys are doing that, I just saw you say hi. And hey, Donald, good morning. It's already a crazy day for you, huh? That's kind of a bummer. Hey, Calvin, check out this guy. Check him out. Check him out. This is my Godzilla that I bought in Akihabara a long time ago. Akihabara is a borough of Tokyo. Tokyo has a number of boroughs, much like New York does, with Queens and Manhattan and things like that. And Akihabara is the electronics district. It's where you can go to get computers and stuff like that. But they also have a ton of really, all the little stores like the Gashapon stores and things like that. So anyway, we're going to work today on a piece that I had done probably 3 years ago. I didn't sign it, so I don't know. 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, which I think, because I've got a guest on the show here, you might find fascinating. So let me go on ahead and share the screen for this. I'm going ahead and head over to the desk. All right. Okay, so this piece is, I was challenged once to draw Stitch versus Pikachu. It's we've got a young fella who's also a Godzilla fan on here today. He's at my dad's house, and he's the same way. Loves kaiju, quite a bit on the kaiju. So, okay, so when we digitally ink, I'm going to go ahead and select a good commentator for this. I think commentator 1 is good for this. And go in here. So this piece, this is a cute piece. I like this piece a lot. One of the things that I have noticed whenever I ink pieces is that they don't often come out as wonderful as the drawing. So I'm hoping that that'll change here. So he's snarling. So we want to make sure we get that snarl on this. Come back around. By the way, we just passed Stitch Day a while ago. It was in 6/26. I feel like we've got he's not squinting, he's kind of doing this, right? So we've got a little bit of a wrinkle going on his nose here, like this. Disney is notorious for making characters that are relatively simple to draw, which makes some sense, since they have to be animated. It also means that you've got to be straight on accurate with your lines. Because if you aren't, people really can't recognize who the character is, right? So, you've got to be really bang on with the lines perfectly straight. This got these little tufts of hair right here, which are part of what makes Stitch Stitch. Alright, so we'll move it like this. Look at this is his ear. Back here, right? His other ears. Let's put his ears down, because it's a cat thing, right? And his teeth are rounded, which I found fascinating, in the back. But they're not so rounded up here in the front. I'm going to make sure I show his gum line, because if I don't, then he can't snarl. Right? He's snarling, so we want to make sure he's got his gum line in there. His teeth overlap. A lot of people make the comment that inking is just tracing, which makes a lot of inkers very mad. There's a lot of work that goes into inking to make it right. And so inking is actually a rather important part of comic drawing and stuff like that. So fill his nose there. All of this will get filled in with blood. It's just inside. So this was I once belonged to a website called Comic, and it was a fascinating website. It was a website where it was just a forum, like a normal open forum. What you would do is you'd join the site, show them some of your work. They would decide what class you were in, be heavy class, middleweight class, lightweight class, and then you'd start at the bottom of the ladder. And every month they would make a new ladder. And you would be challenged to fight somebody. They'd pair everybody up, and then you both would, the person who was on the top of the pairing, the higher ranked person, would choose the topic, and the lower ranked person would then have to draw the topic. And they'd both draw the topic. You'd post at the end of the month both of the pictures, and the entire group would then vote as a poll. And if you won the fight, you'd move up a ranking. And so it was a great but brutal class. Very much Fight Club for artists. It was very brutal, but boy, it was so good for my art. I got a lot better very fast. So when I come around the side here, I'm letting the brush get a little lighter, and that gives weight to the art. Line weight is something that a lot of people call upon as a skill or okay, I can turn that down. That's not perfect. There we go. I'll turn it down just a little there. Turn the music down there. Donald was saying the music was a little loud. So line weight, you don't, when you color something, we don't just draw everything with one line like this. Yeah, that won't help us any. What we do is we'll draw with weight, and that makes it look like the bottom part's shadowed, and that helps a whole lot. So I'm giving a little bit of line weight to some of these lines back here to give more strength to something, right? Like through there. The problem, of course, is when the brush goes over which it shouldn't do like that. There we go. So we go over here. He's got claws. He's not afraid to use them. Like this. Oops. More weight through here to kind of give a little bit of strength to this. There we go. Good. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that I'm going to be doing a shoot tomorrow out near Colorado Springs. So I have to leave early for it. So there won't be a show tomorrow morning. But I'll be back Friday. So, he doesn't actually need this part. I should connect it because that's his arm. And I think I made this look more like his palm, and I thought that was what it was. How did my drawing lead me astray? Okay. It is indeed Subject 626. And Pikachu. I was saying that I'd been challenged to draw something ridiculous that was like a kaiju fight, but with the most ridiculous characters, and so I picked Stitch versus Pikachu. But I never finished this piece. I drew it 100 years ago and never finished it. So now we're going back through, and I'm going to finish this piece. I'm going to do it today. This makes for a fun piece, and it's good practice. It's always good to do something fun. I've done a whole bunch of commission work this week, and today I've got a friend who's watching from Texas at my dad's computer. That he's restarting Farside. I didn't see you tag me because I actually haven't been on Facebook this morning. However, I did read last night on Reddit that Gary Larson's returning to Farside, which is great. I love Farside. Farside's such a fun comic. Gojira says, "Oh, hey, Patsy, how you doing? It's good to see you on the show today." So we're working on Stitch, oddly, Stitch and Pikachu. Okay, so now that I've drawn Stitch in, we're going to do that trick that I've talked about before. Oh yeah, well that's a thing. So we were talking before about making a character pop from the background, right? So you make the character pop by just running over the outline like this. Calvin says Gojira. Trying not to make this too heavy. When you go through the outline a little bit like this, and this just makes him stand out. Right, so I'm just going to go through the back side here. Oop, 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 oop. Sometimes you make mistakes, and that's okay. It's always good to do that. There we go. And that'll make him stand out from the background. Did it mention, Brent, did it mention why he left? Did he just give up one day? It's been 25 years since Gary Larson did Far Side last. And the last time I heard, or last time I saw anything of his, he was making an animation, which was hysterical, although very niche, and so people were having a hard time understanding it. Yeah. Donald saying he was talking to an artist at Mile High Con that Pikachu walking a Hello Kitty meets a Hello Kitty walking a Pikachu. Oh, that Pikachu. Gotcha. Okay, there are many levels of things going on here. Like, for example, Pikachu's electricity is right here. So we probably want to start with that. Electricity generally moves in a very direct manner, especially for Pikachu. Even though I can't help it, I have to make it just a little bit funky here. Right? I'm going to go through here like this. And so all I'm doing here, and you know what I really should do if I was smart, is probably put the background on a separate layer from these guys. Because if we're going to do this, we're going to do this like cell animation, which means that background is going to be a painting. So even though I've started down here with the tree, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put these guys on. Donald, I think, is saying hi to you over there on Twitch. I know that, Brent, you're out on Twitch, so you can't see what Donald's saying, but he says hi. I mean, I'm guessing he's talking to you. He may not be. I'm not sure who he's talking to. But, you know, might as well say. And then Brent is saying hi back. There we go. Pikachu's ears have black tips. So I want to make sure that I highlight that in. There we go. Just like that. And he's got these stripes. Hey Donald, says Brent from over on Twitch. He's got these black stripes which go across his back. He's also very fluffy and pudgy. So Pikachu, the voice actor of Pikachu in Japan, is Megumi Hayashibara, who actually also voiced Ranma, female Ranma, from Ranma 1/2. As a interesting side note, all of those Pika Pikas from all the years are all Megumi Hayashibara. There we go. And his tail is also tipped in black. And though the background is generally in animation, things that move are the things that we highlight. So when we do that's the things that'll be on cell, so to speak. Things that don't move won't end up on cell. Right? You gotta admit it'd be fun. So the things that don't that are moving would be this truck or this little car and this little dude up here. So I'm going to go on ahead and treat that as a different cell. I'm going to complete the tail there. I'm going to treat this as a different cell. We'll come through here like this. And what we've got here is the little dudes fit right here. It's part of the humor of this particular piece that, there we go. Ah, what a mess I made there. Okay. I can see why Gary Larson's drawn towards doing digital. It's so nice to be able to just erase it. Alright. So this little car here, and a little, this is the little, like, doll, I guess, I don't know, action, I don't even know what you'd call these guys. This is one of those toys that you have. Right? And it's funny. Right? They'd fight until they became friends. It's almost like the next scene should be them both eating shawarma. Right? Let me go ahead and actually clear this so I can see it. There we go. So I put those two on the same layer. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to put on the other side the electricity. Here. Here we go. Playhouse figures. That's what I would call those. Yeah, you're right. Now, since this is electricity, and it's Pikachu sort of charging up, I'm not following my drawing perfectly, my underdrawing. I'm going with what my instincts kind of make me feel like I want to do here. Right, so I'm moving along here. There we go, just like that. There. These are snaps of electricity or snaps of sound. Probably just snaps of sound right through here. So usually what these indicate is that popping sound that you get from electricity. Let them fight, says Calvin. I agree. Right, Donald? I mean, that's why I drew it, was because I used to play with these guys when I was a kid. Okay, I'm going to go on ahead and select this tree. Nah, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm going to erase it. Because the tree actually needs to be on the layer below. Because we're going to do something different with the layer below. Right, now that we've got Pikachu and the Playmobil toy playhouse, Playmobil. That's what they were. They were Playmobil. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just make this one layer. So now we've got the critters on a layer. Thing I want to also real quickly do while I'm still here is this is absolutely black, this is absolutely black, and this is absolutely black. So I'm going to go back through real quick and just clean up the line that's in here. Right? Making this guy the right color is not going to be hard. There we go. So we're just going to clean this guy up real quick because these black lines end up with this little white trail. That happens because my brush pen when you look at my brush pen up close, it doesn't make perfect lines. You can see these like white dots there. And so when it fills, not only does it not do what we call anti-aliasing. You can see how it's got kind of jagged lines here. If you get really close, you can see that you can see that, as an example, these guys right here are not black. They're gray, a lighter gray and a lighter gray. And this is called aliasing. And that's when things get really, they get really burk, like that. So that's what causes that fill problem over here. And I always have to kind of go back and just fill it in like this. Just get rid of that white line. I mean, these two fighting each other. I mean, between Lilo and oh, come on. It's the main character in Pokemon. Lilo and I've forgotten his name. Ash. That's his name. So you're saying that Donald's saying, can you imagine the trouble they would get into by the girl and boy owners? And I was thinking, is that you were talking about Lilo and Ash? Because it's like, stop fighting, you two. So, okay, so now that we've done this top layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the under layer. Ash, thank you. So, it's been a long time since I've seen Pokemon. When we do backgrounds, we don't want to necessarily do them all with black ink because it's too heavy. So I use an old Studio Ghibli technique, and I use a dark brown or a light brown, I guess medium brown maybe, pen for this to outline things in the background. So we'll go through here and we'll just catch this tree like this. And I'm not going to be very heavy with this pen. I'm going to let the pen be light, right? And I'm just kind of going around here, around the edge of this building here. This is classic Stitches built San Francisco. Right? And then a little fake tree. One of the things I didn't do down here is put in the little fake tree stand. You know, because all fake trees have these little fake tree stands, which I love. It gives a lot of, a certain amount of funniness to this particular picture, obviously, right? So then when we go through here, we just kind of do the same thing with all of these other lines back here. We just got stuff in the background. And we can draw past Stitch at this point in time if we need to. We probably should go a little over the characters because this is going to be on top. So it's not going to matter. It's going to be a layer up, right? So we're going to have this building here. Right. Same thing over here. I'm going to ignore all of the electricity here. Ooh, that's a lousy line. There we go. This is a license plate that has been hinged onto with this little one of those clips that we used to have. Remember those clips that we used to use? So it's got a clip going around, and it has clipped the license plate to this roof here. There we go, just like this, right? There. And again, we're going to kind of ignore Pikachu's body at this point because we're on a layer below. And this is the Aloha state. So what this is some license plate that Lilo picked up somewhere. The font that they use for license plates is always what they call sans serif. Hey Isaiah, good to see you, man. Awesome. So the text that they use for license plates is always sans serif. Sans serif. Serif are the little like things at the top like this or like this on letters. That's what a serif is. And sans is Latin for without. So they always use a sans serif font, which is it has no serifs on it. And that's there you go, there's your interesting factoid for the day. My wife lived in Hawaii for a long time. And so we actually go back to Hawaii every so often because her dad's still there. So I actually got like up close and personal. I know a little Latin. Oh, it's not as funny as I know a little German. And he's right over there. See, again, with Top Secret jokes that nobody gets because nobody's ever seen Top Secret. Okay. Undo. Where'd you go? There you go. So we had this particular piece had a fascinating one-point perspective for it. Worked really, really well for this piece. And you can kind of see the 1 point here if we put in red lines and follow all of the lines here, everything's going to a point right here, right about there, right? And so you can actually see how all of the buildings, to some degree, fall from this point, right? And I think that's probably not exactly where that one point is, because I'm noticing that this guy goes to a slightly different point. But the idea behind this, specifically, was to make Stitch look huge and make Pikachu look huge. And so there was a definite need to put the camera perspective in what we call a worm's eye view. Except in this case, it's a very, very worm's eye view, because we all know that Stitch is really like about this big. So to be able to make Stitch look huge, you really have to be pretty much right on the ground. So that's kind of a thing. So we're going to go back in here with this brown again. And again, I'm using the brown because I'm going to paint this background. I'm going to paint it. I'm not going to do it today, probably, though, because that'll take forever. Might do that in a couple of days. We're going to do the background. We'll ink the background in. I had an insane amount of fun. I remember drawing this picture. Just figuring out what was in Lilo's room. A bunch of the background cells. And Disney is so meticulous about things that every cell that they did was unique enough that you could see all the detail. And like the pieces of her room, they were, I'm just putting this in there. The pieces in her room, the toys, were in a specific spot for each view. So you'd see a car, in the front here. They'd move the camera around to another location, and you'd still see that car in the background. And I just always amazed by people who are this meticulous. So I tried to match what I saw in there as best that I could. Probably doing a very poor rendition of it, but that's okay. Right? I mean, we don't have to be perfect. This is going to be mostly practice anyway. Did I see Stitch in what? Not sure what you're asking, Calvin. There we go. This is the clock tower. Hawaii. When is the square root of a potato? Did I see Stitch in Hawaii? As far as Stitch goes, he's very popular, ironically, in Japan. I saw him a lot more in Japan. My kids loved him. Like, bonkers loved him. And so I would be able to buy like Stitch erasers and stuff like that, and boy, kids would just gaga over that. It was very funny and very rewarding. was rewarding. Being a teacher was a rewarding job. But yeah, I could convince the kids to work with me on English in exchange for Stitch erasers, which I thought was funny. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll give me the Stitch eraser and I'll read this back to you." Okay, well, whatever works, guys, whatever works. There we go. But I didn't see Stitch in Hawaii when I was there. He was probably out surfing, and I didn't go. I was on the Big Island last time. Stitch and Pikachu rescue movie, huh? I admit that'd be funny. Not gonna lie, man, I'd watch that. Okay, so one of the things I want to do is curve the blanket a little, this rug, because it's going to indicate that Stitch is stomping on it somehow. So we're going to do that. And this guy here is now going wonky. There, just like that. So this is the rug in the middle of the room, and I'm going to have it deflect all over things because that is what rugs do. And again, I'm just going to draw right through Stitch because we're going to need to know where all this information went at some point in time. So, the other thing to remember when doing backgrounds is people won't be looking at the background that much. They're going to be looking more at Stitch and Pikachu because that's the focus of this picture. And I'm not going to worry too much about things back here. Godzilla versus Stitch would be an interesting one. Have to be a supersized Stitch. Not 100% sure that Stitch could work very well against Godzilla. I don't know. Stitch seems to do fine against that big ship. Spaceship in the end of the movie. Okay, we have made a mistake here. Everybody knows the words, the magic words that I'm about to say. Converging tangent. We have converging tangents right here. So let's kill those converging tangents. A converging tangent is when two different things have lines that go into the same spot. Your eyes cannot discern the difference between the two. That looks a whole lot better. Because this is a poster on the wall behind them. Donald says they can both be angry. Their owners have gone missing, so that's why they're angry. I could see Stitch getting Pikachu into doing bad things while searching for Lilo. Yeah, you're right. I could see that too. It seems like a fascinatingly interesting story. There we go. So, the state fish for Hawaii is the Huama Pua'a. I think that's how it's pronounced. And that's that kind of like a tigerfish. It's a tigerfish style. And you can sit there and go, that's amazing that you know that, except that that's the fish that was in Picard's reading room. So to be totally honest, and my wife was astonished that I knew that. And I didn't, at the time, have the heart to tell her, that I knew that because that's the fish in Picard's ready room. But, over the years, she's figured it out. And it didn't ruin our relationship too much. Just saying. But I had, used to collect those fact cards for Star Trek. And the fact cards would tell you all these interesting facts like that. What's really interesting, though, is that Patrick Stewart is a major animal lover. So he actually despised having that fish in his ready room because he felt like the fish shouldn't have been captured and held against its will in there. And he felt like, rightfully so, that the Federation would have gotten over that in time, So, I think there's 2 boxes here, and this is a different box. Right? So I'm using the line tool just to give myself some straight lines and make it straighter, because I could hand draw all these lines, and I probably will go back and hand draw them. But at least to start, I'm going to use my line tool. It gives this a lot straighter lines. But also, because that's what I used originally to draw this, actually I used a straight edge. But since I used a straight edge, hand drawing these lines could be unpleasant. So I don't want to do that if I can avoid it. Now, up here, we've got a shelf right here in her. That's a windowsill. Remember when I was a kid, I used to call these window seals, and my mom used to make fun of me for that. It was very funny. Well, I don't know if I found it that funny when I was a kid, but. And I think the funniest part about window seal was that my mom was Southern, and she had a Southern accent. And so she didn't realize that when she said windowsill, she said window seal. So I picked it up from her as an affectation of language. There we go. And zoom in right over here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tidy this up, right? Put that through here. And I'm just going to go through and just connect all the lines again. And do that. And that's just to indicate that the bottom part of this strut here, like that. And do this. And I'm just going to go back through here with this, and then come back around. Just like that. All right. And again, we have a converging tangent here. So I'm going to take the windowsill out further, like this, and make it look a little bit more natural anyway. So we'll take the eraser and come back around like this. The eraser really doesn't need to be that. It needs to be this guy. It needs to be bigger. There we go. And that'll make this windowsill stand out a lot more. So what we really want here is this windowsill to stand out. Ooh, yeah. I'm not going to even bother going back under there, because we've got kind of, but that looks just fine. You can see the window just fine. You can see a windowsill just fine. It looks good. Now, the other reason I'm not going to paint this today is because we're going to have to get the colors accurate on the background. We can do Stitch. We can do Pikachu because we know what their colors are. But this background is full of items and things. I mean, I'm looking here, and there's wainscoting right here, which is wainscoting is when you have like a wood piece along the bottom or the middle of the wall, and things to the bottom are wallpapered or whatever, and things on top are colored, painted in some way. And so I've got to deal with that because I don't remember what that looks like. And so I'm going to have to go back and research. Somewhere I've got all the original files on this. You're learning all kinds of words today. We've got all kinds of fascinating bits. Okay, so put the lock in this box. I'm going here and just erase these lines. You can see why Gary Larson likes the idea of doing digital. See how lovely and easy this is. There. I'm just going to add a keyhole here. I don't know what's in this box. That's something to kind of ponder, isn't it? What's in the box? What has it got in its pockets? My son and I are watching Hobbit right now. And find it fascinating how slow the first Hobbit movie is. I'm intentionally giving a little bit of a bow to the top of this. You're right. It's vocab day. I'm giving a little bit of a bow to the top of it, like this box has been somewhat crushed. When I was a kid, I used everything as step stools and ladders and seats and everything like that. So I have absolutely no doubt that Lilo did the same things. All the things in her room, using them as seats and ladders. So I'm giving some pressure to the box by putting these lines in, which helps us kind of get that feeling that the box is somewhat compressed. This box is sitting on another box. So then we're going to have to go back here. Unlike the other side here, we are going to have to take care with these lines because they will be seen. So we're going to have to go back through and just clean them up. Right? And this guy ends at this building right here, or box right here, because she's got another box right there. Converging tangent. So let's pop that up so that those tangents don't converge. There we go, just like that. So we're just cleaning this up. There, just like that. Okay. Now when we pull all of this out, here's the piece so far. It's coming along nicely. Why did you get moved? You got moved somewhere. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this underneath the background. I'm not going to put this underneath the background because the background's not going to do anything. Gotcha. Duplicate that and then put that above. And give you 100%. And that way when we turn this off now, we can take a look at the picture in its entirety and see where we are. Right? And turn that back on. And continue on with the background. Only a little bit more on the background and we'll be done. Okay. That's a converging tangent too. Boy, this thing's full of converging tangents. Brush for this guy too. That's the right brush. Because now I can. No, it's not the right brush. Anyone want to work with me here? There we go. Alright. It's probably an old birdhouse right here, which would be really funny. I envisioned Lilo just going out and like finding stuff on the road. Because that just seems like, I mean, she didn't grow up with a lot of money. Between her and Lonnie, they don't have a lot of money. So I can kind of see that all of this stuff is going to be just reclaimed items. Either she found them, or maybe a friend gave them to her, or something like that. There we go, I like that. Do this, like this. I love these blocks. Right? I think it's too small for a doghouse. I feel like it's got to be like a birdhouse. Right? Because it's just too small. It'd be this big. So, I mean, maybe. But even for a chihuahua, that'd be pretty small. I mean, that's what's... I mean, you got to remember, these are toy blocks right next to it, so... They're big toy blocks. But they're still toy blocks. So, I mean, they're not... I have to make my inside Star Trek joke here. All the Trekkies know what B4 is. Yeah, that's a mouse-sized house, it is. Although, a mouse in there would be funny, too. Yeah, I'm zooming in and out kind of indiscriminately, and sorry that I know that gives kind of a disorientation here. There we go. This bee has serifs. Our word for the day. So, you may be asking, why are you going back and forth on this? Why don't you just go da 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 da? And the reason is because this allows me to keep my line straight. If I were to go da 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 and da 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 da, the distance between them would not look even. And so I have to start here and then move straight across and then put a line there. And I start here and then move straight across and put a line there. Yeah, isn't that the truth? We've been turning on our swamp cooler starting at 9 in the morning now. Because if you don't turn on the swamp early, it will not make it in time. Okay, so I'm looking here. There is wainscoting here, so I'm going to, but I think there was only wainscoting on one wall. Having now been to Hawaii, I can kind of understand why that's the case. So, Hawaiian houses, first of all, don't always have doors, I've noticed. Or if they do have doors, they're meager things. I can't remember what island. I think it was the Big Island that they ended up on. The Big Island of Hawaii is rustic and country. So, like, nobody really lives there. I mean, people live there, obviously, but there's not a lot of people on the Big Island. And so most of the residents know each other. So they don't lock their doors, and they don't lock their cars. And so a lot of the houses have no locks or anything like that. It's just totally cool. And some houses don't even have doors. They just have screens. I'll see you tomorrow, Brent. I'm sorry but we'll be here tomorrow on Geek Tank. Brent, I won't be on the show tomorrow morning. So I'll be at Geek Tank tomorrow night, but not tomorrow morning. Which I think you've probably figured out. Okay, so moving through here. Got this line right there. And this line goes up here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take this line all the way to the top of the picture. This line all the way to the top of the picture, too. I don't know whether I was headed for some type of I don't know what this is about. But drawing through helps me a whole lot here, because now I can see that I need to add a little bit down here at the bottom. So yeah, tomorrow day there won't be a show. I've got to go do a shoot in Colorado Springs. So I have a long 2-hour drive down to shoot the house, and then it's going to take 2 hours to shoot the house, and then 2 hours back. So it's a 6-hour day, and so we can't start at noon. We ended up being out there in the heat, which is unpleasant. Okay, what's over on this side? Nothing, really. Okay. So now what we'll do is just taking a look at all my background and making sure, oh, we're missing Pikachu's. This is where it's important to do this. I can see I'm missing Pikachu's claws. So let's go up here. There we go. Yes, it does. My Jedi most definitely has AC. also am seeing a missing line right here. So I'm going to go back through and fix that. Right here, right here. There we go. Hey, Fred. How you doing, man? Good to have you on the show today. We're working on Pikachu versus Stitch today. A piece that I had found in my basement when we were doing cleaning. And it was just a penciled piece. There's no there was no inking to it, so I decided to go on ahead and use it as an inking example today. Kind of wanted to. I've got a friend on in Texas watching who is a aspiring artist. And so I wanted to give something that would require a little, or would have some semblance of instruction in it. For today's show. So that's what we're doing. Said in case Fred's wondering why I'm not working on Fred pieces. And that's why. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the ink layer. Take and put this white, this is what I call an onion skin, and this onion skin layer is a 50% opacity white layer that all it does is just make everything in the background just a little bit lighter. It makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing. In this case, because everything was done in brown in the background, it's pretty easy to see what's going on. But for when I have many layers of black ink and things like that, I'll often put an onion skin between them. Onion skin is an animation term, and it comes from animating, where we would take really thin, like tracing paper, and we'd place it over a frame and then draw the next frame on top of it, and then we'd be able to see both frames through. And sometimes we'd have a light table and then turn on a light through the paper, and you could see all the different layers. It used to be called onion skin paper, and that was the kind of paper it was, because it was very thin, and it looked like the very skin of an onion, which is really thin too. So I was trained traditionally in animation, so I tend to use animation terms. Just realized his ear up here needs to be turned black. Okay, now here's how we do the coloring, the cell colors. We're going to take this ink layer, and I'm going to duplicate it, right, and put it underneath here. Then I'm going to go over, and I'm going to have to complete this part of Stitch on this ink layer, because otherwise, when I fill it, it's going to fill across this. So we're going to go along here like this and down. Oops. Like that. And then down. Right? And this is all I need to do. And that seals that up. Right? I don't have to worry about past there at all. Right? I just need to worry about this part. Because then, what I can do is pick a color for Stitch. I can just fill it in. Right? Light tables are the best. I'm just going to go through here. I'm just going to color Stitch a uniform color right now. It's not a real problem. We'll get to all of the details in a bit, right? Stitch is two colors, as I recall. A lighter and a darker blue. And that dark blue might be too dark, but let's take a look here. guys. Go away. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to real quickly look up Stitch, right? Stitch, right? So we've got ourselves a picture of Stitch. We're just going to match his colors. He's got a darker blue on the outside and a lighter blue on the inside. Okay, not a problem. So taking this, I feel like this dark blue is a little off. I think this is probably a better blue. Yeah, even that doesn't look right. It's more like this battleship blue. There we go. That's more like it. Right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then his light blue is really a light blue. It's like that. Nope, it's even brighter than that. Undo. So this is how we do this. We just kind of do this. That's it right there. So we're going to go along here, and I'm just going to take everything to here across the bottom of his mouth like this, and I'm just going to seal it up, right? Like this. There we go. And I'm just tightening all of this up because then I can go in here with the fill tool. Once I've tightened all of this up, go in with the fill tool and do that, right? And then we could do this and that. And he's got a darker blue for his claws, the pads, and his nose. So the darker blue looks like this guy right here. Right? So, one thing I'm noticing is we've got that finger that's the wrong color, and that needs to be filled in. Okay, cool. Not a problem. So we've pretty much matched all of his colors correctly. That looks pretty accurate to the colors that I've already found down here. First, kind of washing it out, but this is pretty accurately close. Yeah, just looking at the two of them. I probably don't have the perfect set of colors for it, but it's enough that you can identify Stitch for right now. So that's good enough. Now what I'll do is I'll just go in and just clean this up a little like that, and do a little like this, and kind of go out like this, and kind of go through like that right there, like that. Oh yeah, get rid of some of this white in here that we don't want. Right. We should probably fill in this pad. I'm also going to need to use a pink for this. The other picture that showed up was kind of the classic Stitch sitting there and smiling thing. His teeth are not perfectly white, they're yellowed, so we want kind of this guy here. Stitch needs to brush his teeth more. Alright. See you later. Bye, Calvin. Okay, then we're going to use a red in here. We're going to use like a crimson. Go across here. Whoa! It's hard to get into these little lines and little crevices right here. Because it's really difficult, but not impossible. There we go. Now, actually, I think that that's more of a lighter crimson. I feel like it's more like that. Maybe even. Now, if this were like a commission or something where that would have to be, where I want to make sure that I'm absolutely accurate. Okay, so looking at this picture, I'm looking at picture here, and I'm going to have to actually correct his feet, it looks like. Because he doesn't have claws on his feet, he has little nibs on his feet. That's something we'll have to work on. That's okay, we can do that. If this were, like, let's say a commission, for a client or something like that. Oh man, it is really hard to get in here. My cat wants to say hi. Yeah, hi cat. You're fluffy. Yep, Scritches. That's what you want, Scritches. I know. You live for Scritches. That's you. Okay, so I'm just going to get in here and I'm just going to clean this up like this. I know you think you can get into my lap, but you really can't. There we go. I'm not going to be too picky about this. As long as I don't go over the black lines, we're fine. And the reason is because we still have an ink layer on top of this. So what we really want to do is make sure that we've got all of the coloration underneath it straightened out so that you can't see these white connection boards. Someday, I always hope for these things, but someday I hope that Photoshop will realize that it can do aliased fill, and that'll help us a whole lot as artists who use Photoshop. It's actually something that Clip Studio does very well. Alright, so it's kind of one of the things. And I'd use Clip Studio, except I'm not that good at it yet, and so I can't do this very fast. There we go, so we're just going through here and we're cleaning this up. This part actually needs to be pink or purple. It's like a lavender in here. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Just like that. Donald says hi, cat. Wherever you went, you walked away because I wouldn't scritch you. She's afraid of her own shadow. Except when it comes to scritches. Then she's fine. There we go. So. Just going through here and I'm just cleaning this up. And I'm messing up a little over here, and that's okay. I'll come back around and clean that up. The truth is, you always do detail first, and then you move out. Because here, I'm just going to be going do like this. I'm going to come on here, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to clean all this up. That won't be a problem, right? So just coming back around and cleaning this up. Right through there. Okay. Well, obviously Stitch is the intellectual property of Disney, which I guess everybody here knows. I just wanted to go on ahead and tell you that. There are some interesting things that we always think about whenever we do these. I have to kind of think about intellectual property, and it's the reason why I can't really sell this stuff. Disney gets kind of uptight about you people stepping on anybody stepping on their IP. I can't really blame them rightfully. Right? I mean, It makes some sense. All right. There we go. Stitch looks like he's got the right colors going for him. He looks pretty good. So we're going to go back through, and I'm actually going to merge those two together. And this is how we'll do that. And we'll take this. Oh, I see one spot I'm going to fix right here. Whoa. On the, there, right through here. Clean that up a little. While I still have the chance, this is the better time to clean all this up. Much better to clean this up now than it is to do it at any other time. So, much rather do it now. Now is the time to clean it before I merge these two layers together. We're going to have to come back down for okay, there we go. And now I'm going to turn on the background and just go back through this. Undo. We're just making sure that it doesn't leak over this line. We have to be very careful how we do this, though. Can't leave any white spots between the two. They do. And generally speaking, I'm a lot grayer about my feelings towards Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella and things like that. However, on the statement of Lilo and Stitch, that is definitely a Disney property, born and bred in Disneyland. So I can't really get them much on that. You have a lot of Disney princesses, which aren't their intellectual property, and I agree with that. But I'm not going to argue with you on that one. There we go. I'm just cleaning that up there. Like I said, now's the time to do this. Once I've flattened these layers out, it's a lot harder to get that squared away. I'm also going to clean this up right there. It's on both sides of these. There. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm relatively happy with the color on this. I'm going to turn off this, and I'm going to hit Control-Shift-E, which just merges your visible layers. And the reason I'm going to do that is because we've got to fix his feet, his toes. I'm looking at the picture over here of Stitch's toes, and he's got more like this for his toes. So we're going to need to do this sort of live with live coloring. It's kind of scary, but that's okay. But his toes are like little nibs, like this, which stick out, like so. And then he has just dots on the edges like this. So I feel like little alien toes, I think, is the whole point here. Right? Because then I can just take and erase claws underneath him. He doesn't have claws, apparently. On his feet, he has just these little walking nibs, or toenails of some sort. Donald's saying that some companies' estates of characters from books and movies can be talked into stuff if they get some power and royalty from it or any profit. I agree. I mean, honestly, you think about some of these people are still living off of the estates of many of these folks. The estate of Lewis Carroll and stuff like that. It's fine if you're taking care of it. There we go. That's more like his feet. Barr, barr, barr. Barr. Okay. Yeah, they get veto power and things like that. Now that we've done Stitch, and I'm pretty happy with Stitch, he looks about the right colors and everything like that, we're going to do the same thing we did before, do a copy, put the copy underneath it. We'll do Pikachu over here. Pikachu is pretty much just a yellow. He's a pretty straightforward critter, right? I mean, there's not much to him. He's got this little red thing on the side. We've filled too much up at the top, so there's that. And his little claws are black, which is something we did this. So claws is black. These little red doodly bops on the side here are red, but since they fill the lightning blast, I want to be very careful with that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. We're going to zoom in. Zoom in some more. We're going to just seal off that there so that whenever I go in here and I fill this, it fills like a normal thing. Now, as far as Pikachu goes, I've got his base colors going here. His base colors kind of going. But what I'm not 100% sure of is how accurate is this yellow. It's accurate enough that you know who we're talking about here. You probably could tell who we were talking about beforehand, right? So let's go on ahead and we'll take a look at. I want to do some Hobbit stuff, so looking for ways to get permission to the Tolkien estate. I agree with you. Pikachu. And take some images, and actually I'm not far off. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. What I am noticing is that his ear things are going the wrong direction. And his tail thing is going the wrong way. Okay, so our little electric rat's not as easy as it looks. So, we're going to have to make some corrections, and that's understandable. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and we're going to seal this off. Because I need to select just that and delete it. Right? As that doesn't. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to go through here, and we're just going to clean up some of this part down here and this down here so that it's just definitely yellow. Just make sure it's clean. Right? There we go. Just like this. Just like this. good old electric rat is not, in fact, as easy or straight up as he looks. Just looking at some of the drawings on here, these are probably okay at black, but his tail's the wrong color. Of course, I've gotten it reversed, so I'll have to fix that after I put color in. There's the color part of him is down here. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? We're discussing the bathroom habits of Pikachu and Stitch. All right. Color in on this. And that'll work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two layers and I'm going to merge them together, just like I did before. Ooh, I need to fix his hand first, because his hand is yellow. Well, okay, there's that. So let's go through here and fix this, because I can do this now while I can. I've made apparently my own version of Pikachu, which is a color combination that I feel is correct. However, while I'm at it, it's not correct. He apparently does not, in fact, have little black talons. That would just be cool, I guess. And Pikachu is supposed to be cute and fluffy and not, in fact, cool. So we talked earlier that Pikachu's voice actor was Megumi Hayashibara. I don't know if it still is. I don't know. I know that Megumi was everywhere. She was in Slayers. She was like Lena Inverse in Slayers. She was just the person on call in the 90s. And I don't know if she still does that or not. She may not. It may be a thing she no longer does, but it was still cool. Okay, I merged these together. Let's fix some of the problems. First problem we've got is the ears go the other direction. So let's fix this. And by other direction, I mean they go like this. So we'll get this here. And we'll just go like that. Come through here. And we'll just put this in like that. There we go. His tips of his ears go the other direction. Just clean this out like this. Alright, I'm going to go to his tail, which is now going the other direction. Not just going the other direction, but now we are aware suddenly that, you know how much he's colored like a taxi? I'm just saying. It's just yellow and black all over the place. I'm just realizing this is a business opportunity for Nintendo or whoever owns Pikachu. Because, let's be honest here, he's colored like a taxi. This could be entertainment. So, okay. Because it takes a lot less time for me to just come through here and clean this little bit up than it does for me to go through the entire thing like this. So, okay. That. Just going to clean this up. Come back down. S. Like that. So Pikachu apparently big yellowtail. Sounds like a fish. Going from taxi to fish. What do we know? Then this part is the part that is brown. So, the lesson for today is check your references. However, as Fred will no doubt tell you, there are a number of times where I clearly did not check my references and had to go back and redo work because that's not what he asked me to do. It's not an uncommon thing for us to sort of miss that target. Now, apparently, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think the stripes on his back are also brown. So we're going to go in here and do this. All right. Going across here, and I'm just coloring in these stripes in the back of Pikachu here. And I'll fix this area here in a minute. I'll switch back. Just going to go through here and do this. There we go. Excellent. Right like that. Look at that. Flip the colors. We're just going to make sure our lines are solid through here. Along the back like this. And there we go. Electric Rat versus Stitch. Okay. Now what we'll do is check in on our colors for this. Can we just go for a 50% black or a 33% black on this and get the color combinations that we're looking for stitching? And that's a good question. So I'm going to switch brushes for this one because I want a hard round pressure size. And bring it up quite a bit. We're going to look. And I'm feeling like the color that I get out of this for a shadow doesn't match what I'm seeing here on his pictures. So we're going to try a brown. Look at the brown and see what we get with the brown. That gets markedly closer. Really what we're looking at is taking this color and where will we go to get it? It's oranger, and that's part of it. It's still very bright. But it's more like a brown. Lives right about there. Okay. So we can't use it direct because it won't register. But I might be able to put it in multiply and bring that up and still get that color combination, which is exactly what it should do. There we go. So we'll do this. Get rid of some of the stuff that we've been working on here. Then we'll go back in my brush. What we've got now is this brush is on multiply. So I can go over lines like this and it'll be fine. Because it's more important to put the smoothness of a curve in than to worry about whether you're actually on the piece or not. So we're just going to go through here. We're going to get very specific about this. And this is another one of those you want to be very sure about what you're doing. Because waving lines at this point in time looks sketchy and weird. So you don't want to wave any of these lines. There we go. Just like that. We actually might want to do more shadow. These right up here in the foreground. And all we're doing is just defining his shape, right? Giving him a little bit of shape here so that it's very defined. There, just like that. I'm going to go under here and just pull back this part right there. And pull this part right there. Anything that goes outside the lines that I can't just take on the ink copy and do this, and then go on to the shadow copy and do that. Right? Right, so once we do that, the shadow is really nice and set in. straight. I'm going to go in here now, and now that I've got it, I'm going to do some fine detail work on it. This will allow me to just make sure that it looks nice and clean, right? So we're just cleaning up the lines, making it look nice and pretty. There. Just like that. Make these lines nice and round. Pikachu is a very soft character. Extremely soft. So we don't want these to have any waves in them or any bumps. We want it to be very, very straight, very easy. No wiggles. No wiggles. All of these lines are going to be very straight and cleaned up once we're done here. Work on this line down here because I'm going to really see that it's not quite as straight as I want it to be. Go through here and I'm just going to trim this back there. I'm just going to I can go through here and do the whatever, but that's not really worth it. There. Now he's got shadow. I'm not the first person to think Pikachu and Stitch is a great combo. Clearly. Okay, let's take a look at what Disney seems to think needs to be the shadows for Stitch. Disney's shadows are very subtle on Stitch. In fact, I'm not finding much on shadows at all for Stitch. Which means I'm on my own for deciding how dramatic Stitch needs to be shadowed. So, let's go back over here to Stitch. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We pulled down to about there on the color, so we'll just do the same thing over here. That's too dark. I really don't like that. So let's bring it up. Split the difference. Gotta remember that it's on multiply, so whatever I decide to do is probably going to be darker than I want it to be. And that's why we're getting this very super dark thing. Even though I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter with each pass, it's still super dark. That's because mostly I've got a multiply on. I'm just going to go through here, and I don't know if I want to do that. And it looks like that's a bad idea, so I'm going to actually pull that back out. The power of Photoshop lies in its ability to do layers. It's interesting because I think that the animation team at Disney opted to not shade him. He doesn't seem to be very shaded. I'm looking at cells from Stitch. You know. Stitch cells, which means that I need to go through and make this a little less stated. It's just not quite as obviously. So what we'll do is enable here, deleting all of various parts of Stitch that I feel like should be shadowed in. There we go. Catch his feet in here. And now what we're going to do, we're going to take this entire thing, that part right there, and I'm going to lighten it up. Taking brightness and contrast, I can raise the brightness level on this like this, and it actually looks a whole lot better, right? And that puts it in a completely different range of colors, and doesn't make it quite as dramatic. Raise the contrast a little on it as well, and we end up with not as much drama on Stitch, which is good. Pikachu's a much darker character, that's fine. We can do that. But it now looks a lot calmer. The only problem is trying to snag this color to make corrections is a little bit hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the undercolor, because now that's the color it is. This is the real color. You don't want to do that with the background because it's on a multiply layer. But now I can go through and make some fixes to this. Right? There we go. And we'll go ahead and just select everything in here. And go here. And just hit delete. And that clears out where I've gone over. Right? really nice. It's coming along nicely. So we're going to do some more work on it. And I know that. And we've got some work to go on this one. This piece is not a 1 hour fix, certainly by any stretch, but it's a fun piece, and that's the important thing. The most important part is it fun to draw? And I'm having a lot of fun here drawing Pikachu and Stitch and this background. The background itself is going to take 2 hours alone, just the background, and that's painting roughly, so we'll have to see what we can do there. And I'm not the world's best painter, so this is going to take some time. But if we do it right, this could turn out to be a really nice piece. So I'm all about that. I'm all about dedicating some time to it and things like that. My closing title card's going to say, see you tomorrow. It's not seeing you tomorrow. I'm sorry. I'll see you on Friday. But that's all right. We'll get this squared away, and I'll go take pictures of this house, which is out in the boonies, and I think that's going to be fascinating. I'm going to actually be able to deploy my 360-degree camera for the first time in a environment that's going to really have an interesting effect on it. I might be able to put it out in a field and take a picture. That'd be fascinating. Honestly, it'd be just cool. So, 360 camera. It's really cool. So there you go. We started with Stitch and Pikachu, and there's a lot more to go on this painting, but we're getting there. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great today, and I hope I see you again on Friday. And in the meantime, live long and prosper, because that's important.